Is everything good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Anyway, so I believe today will be the last two sessions we have for the students presentation. And then in the next 3 meetings, I will wrap up all the meetings and also give you a hint what the final course will be. So today we are expecting we have Reskia. I'm sure we have Reskia here already. Andi Fatma, are you here with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So Reskia, Fatma are present. Mutiara, the last speaker today.
Mutiara doesn't, sir.
Oh, wait, what happened with her? Did you,
Nggak pernah hadir. Memang nggak pernah ada, sir.
Mutiara.
What happened with Mutiara Agung?
Sudah lama dia tidak hadir, sir. Cuma menawar saja di kelas begitu, sir. Jadi dia
Okay,
tidak
then.
datang.
So, hang on. Okay, good. So should be fine. Doesn't matter. So the topics of today's presentation is also very exciting to listen about this. So it will be about multilingualism and bilingualism. So remember, multilingualism and bilingualism are very related to languages. Yeah. So that's why I said earlier that this topic is very interesting. Please pay attention to presenter mates today, because they are going to deliver and convey messages on one important topic in relation to understanding the languages, which is multilingualism and bilingualism. All right, so without any further ado, let's invite our 3 presenters today. The display and the stage is yours, guys. Go ahead. Do you want me to help you with the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Then could you send through Zoom chat, if you don't mind?
Oh,
Or do you want to send through WhatsApp group? Okay, that's fine. I'll just try to download this one. Hang on. Let me just go to the airdrop. I think it's visible now. Can everybody see my slide? Okay,
yes,
our
sir.
presenters should be okay now. So please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So, my name is Reskia and my partner name is Andi Fatmaina. And today we will presentation about our material. And I would like to invite my friends to present the first part of our material. Next, sir.
Okay. What are multilingualism and bilingualism? Bilingualism refers to the ability of an individual to speak two languages fluently. This can range from native like proficiency in both to varying degrees of skills in different contexts. Jadi bilingualism ini bukan hanya sekedar kemampuan seseorang berbicara dua bahasa, tetapi juga mencakup tingkat kefasihan yang berbeda-beda. Artinya ada orang yang sangat fasih di dua bahasa seperti penutur asli, ada pula yang hanya menggunakan bahasa kedua dalam situasi tertentu, misalnya di sekolah atau di tempat kerja. Bilingualism ini bisa terjadi karena lingkungan keluarga, pendidikan, migrasi, atau kebutuhan sosial. And then multilingualism. Multilingualism extends this concept to more than two languages is a widespread phenomenon globally, reflecting the rich linguistic diversity of our planet. Multilingualism ini adalah penggunaan lebih dari dua bahasa yang merupakan fenomena global, bukan sesuatu yang langka. Banyak negara dan masyarakat hidup dengan keberagaman bahasanya dikarenakan faktor budaya, sejarah, juga interaksi sosial. And next slide, sir. Okay, and then the cognitive advantage. How multiple languages shape our brains. Enhance problem solving. Bilingual individuals often demonstrate superior problem solving skills as their brains are constantly switching between linguistic systems, improving cognitive flexibility. And the light cognitive decline. Studies suggest that speaking multiple languages can delay the onset of age-related cognitive decline, including dementia by strengthening neural network and improve attention and focus. The continuous need to manage two or more languages strengthens attentional control and the ability to filter out irrelevant information. And learning and using multiple languages physically alters the brain, increasing gray matter density and enhancing connection between different brain regions. Jadi bilingualism dan multilingualism menawarkan manfaat kognitif yang luas dan melampaui sekedar kemampuan berkomunikasi. Keduanya meningkatkan kemampuan pemecahan masalah, memperkuat fokus dan perhatian, menunda penurunan kognitif, serta mendorong kemampuan otak yang lebih sehat melalui perubahan fisik pada struktur saraf. Keuntungan-keuntungan ini menunjukkan dan mempertegas pentingnya mendorong pembelajaran bahasa di berbagai usia. Next slide, sir. And societal impact. Language diversity in communities and culture. Multilingualism is a cornerstone of culture identity and global interconnectedness. It shapes societies in profound ways. Cultural preservation. Languages carry sense, uh, sense of tradition, history, and unique worldviews. Multilingualism helps preserve the infallible cultural heritages and social cohesion. In diverse societies, multilingualism uh, fosters understanding, empathy, and stronger bonds between different cultural groups and economic advantages. Multilingual populations are better equipped for global trade, diplomacy, and international collaboration, leading to economic growth. From bustling metropolises to remote villages, language diversity enriches human experience and drives innovation. Jadi keberagaman bahasa memberikan banyak manfaat penting bagi masyarakat. Dengan adanya cultural preservation, bahasa membantu melestarikan tradisi, cerita, dan identitas budaya agar tidak hilang ditelan waktu. Lalu melalui social cohesion, kemampuan bahasa membuat orang lebih mudah memahami satu sama lain, hingga hubungan antara kelompok menjadi lebih harmonis dan tidak mudah terjadi kesalahpahaman. Selain itu, economic advantages memungkinkan bahwa masyarakat yang mampu menggunakan banyak bahasa lebih siap bersaing di dunia kerja dan punya peluang ekonomi yang lebih besar. Jadi secara sederhana, multilingualism membantu kita menjaga budaya, membangun hubungan lebih baik, dan membuka lebih banyak kesempatan untuk berkembang. And next slide, sir. Bilingualism in childhood. Nurturing linguistic growth. Introducing multiple languages to children from a young offers a wealth of benefit. Earlier acquisition of language skills and phonetic awareness. Enhance creativity.
Sorry, sir. Udah keluar. Fatma. Terkeluar.
Yeah, kick off. She will be coming back, I guess. Let's wait. Okay, she's coming back. Did you have problem with your network?
Dan, sir.
Yeah, go ahead then.
Yes, bilingualism in childhood. Nurturing linguistic growth. Introducing multiple languages to children for a young offers a wealth of benefit. Earlier acquisition of language skills and phonetic awareness. Enhance creativity and cognitive flexibility. Greater cultural awareness and empathy, improving academic performance in various subjects, and creating a language-rich environment at home and in school is crucial for maximizing those developmental advantages. Jadi, memperkenalkan dua bahasa pada anak sejak kecil memberikan banyak manfaat bagi perkembangan mereka. Anak lebih cepat menguasai, lebih kreatif, dan mampu berpikir fleksibel karena otaknya terbiasa mengelola dua sistem bahasa. Selain itu, bilingualism membuat anak lebih peka terhadap budaya lain dan lebih mudah berempati. Keuntungan ini juga berdampak pada prestasi akademik karena kemampuan fokus dan pemecahan masalah menjadi lebih baik. Lalu untuk mendukung hal tersebut, orang tua dan sekolah perlu menyediakan lingkungan yang kaya bahasa seperti sering berkomunikasi dua bahasa atau juga menyediakan bahan bacaan bilingual. Dengan lingkungan yang tepat, anak dapat merasakan manfaat penuh dari bilingualism. And I think that's enough from me. Next, Reskia will continue.
Okay, thank you for my friends. And now I will continue our material. Challenges and opportunities, navigative multilingual context. Communication barrier. Despite the benefit language difference can lead to misunderstanding or exclusion if not properly addressed. Educational system. Schools often face challenge in providing adequate support for multilingual learners while integrating them into mainstream education. Translation and interpretation. The demand for skilled translators and interpreters continues to grow in a globalized world, creating significant career opportunities and innovation and research. Multilingualism fills new avenues for research in linguistics, cognitive science, and artificial intelligence, fostering innovation. Addressing these challenges requires innovative approaches to education, policy making, and technological solutions that embrace linguistic diversity. Next, sir. Preserving linguistic heritage. The importance of language revitaliz sorry sir revitalization, protecting indigenous language. Many indigenous language are endured. Revitalization effort aim to teach younger generation, ensuring this language continue to thrive. Cultural identity. Language is Interesting. Language is intrinsically linked to cultural identity. Its loss can erode traditional knowledge, stories, and community bonds. Global diversity. Every language represents a unique way of saying the word. Preserving them contributes to the overall linguistic and cultural diversity of humanity. Language revitalization is not just about words, it's about safeguarding unique ways of knowing, being, and connecting to the world. Next are key takeaways and future direction. Embracing our multilingual future, multilingual future. Cognitive benefit. Multilingualism enhances cognitive function from problem solving to delayed cognitive deadline. Societal enrichment. Language diversity strengthens communities, preserves culture, and drives economic advantage. Childhood advantage. Early bilingual exposure fosters holistic development in children. Global future. Embracing and supporting multilingualism is essential for a more connected, innovative, and understanding world. The future is undeniably multilingual by fostering an environment that values and supports linguistic diversity. We can unlock greater potential for individuals and social societies alike. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. That was quite good presentation. Let's get appreciation for the two presenters. So anyway, thanks for your presentations, Reskia and Fatma. Before throwing the floors to your classmate for questions and comment, I got a few comments for you both. So the presentation was good, but still could be improved to make it a lot better. So the first one, I would like to address my comment to Reskia. So Reskia, so don't say we will presentation. So but say we will present, yeah. So presentation is a noun, not a verb. Please be advised. Remember those two things. So
Yes, sir.
presentation is a noun. Present is a word. And remember, clearly pronounce I will present, not present, yeah. I will present. So it means you are going to do a presentation. That for Reski, I think. And as the flows was going, for Fatma, so don't say it's kind of just mispronounce. You said that decline, yeah. Again, to say decline, yeah. Decline is going down. Heritage, yeah. Say heritage, yeah. Kemudian drives drives itu mengarahkan ya. Nurture, tadi Anda bilang nurture ya. Of course no nurture, nurture ya. And this is very clear, don't say young, say young instead ya. Young itu young. Si young people muda ya, not young. Because young sounds like French ya, young ya. And for Reskia, you say culture, of course, not culture, culture ya. Culture or culture. Ya. You say culture, no. Kemudian challenges, ya, challenges, demand. Please remember these kinds of things. Artificial intelligence, not artificial intelligence, ya. Artificial intelligence. Not diversity, but diversity. Please be mindful, everyone. Kemudian not languages, but languages. Languages. Of course, not money, but many, ya. You also mentioned endanger, yeah, that's endanger. Not future, but future. Somebody say future, that's fine, but not most of the time they don't say future, no, future. Yeah? That's sort of mispronunciation. Please be mindful. The other thing, if you want to select from the transition from one speaker to the other speaker, the appropriate word to say not continue but take over. Yeah, let's say Reskia, and then after Reskia is finished, you say, okay, I will let my friend to take over the presentation, not to continue. Continue means like yourself and then you continue again, that's yours. But if you're offering to someone else to kind of continue the session and then you say take over, okay? That's think. Okay, overall that was good. A part of my comments. Okay, now let's throw the floors. Do you have any question, guys? Comments, please. Silakan yang ada pertanyaan. Satu lagi ya, penting untuk semua. I have said this many times. Don't forget to include references, to cite references in every single presentation you make. In my class, in other classes you are attending, please, if you are doing a presentation, don't forget to cite any references you have included in your PowerPoint. That's very important. Oke, silakan. Adik-adik semua, komen, pertanyaan. Alif, komen, Fajri, yang lain, Kevin.
Mungkin Sir bisa dari
Ya, aku
perempuannya lain Sir, karena mungkin laki-lakinya sudah terlalu sering bertanya Sir. Ya sampai
we have Amalia, Isma, Mirna.
mungkin Isma Sariulang Sir, dia mau bertanya Sir.
Silakan bertanya ya, jadi jangan biasakan diam di kelas. So you know my style, the more active the discussion, the more I enjoy the classes. You can drop questions, you can drop comments. That would be really insightful for the class, for all of us. Okay, well, letting you to think some questions, I will just drop my first question to all of you, especially for the presenters. So what do you think if someone is growing up with two languages altogether? Do you think that at the first place they could be called bilingual speaker, or bilingual speakers is coming later? What do you think, speakers? Did you get my point?
Can you repeat, sir?
Sure. So if someone, let's say if someone is growing up, let's say after 3 years old, and then this person is growing up, not only understanding one language, but more than one languages, let's say two languages at the same time, simultaneously, can I call this person as a bilingual speaker since at the beginning, or bilingual comes later? Kalau orang tumbuh, misalkan anak kecil di umur 3 tahun or after, kemudian pada saat dia tumbuh dia langsung tahu dua bahasa bersamaan, apakah dia langsung jadi bilingual di saat itu atau nanti bilingualnya dihitung ketika dia beranjak dewasa, as the times goes. What do you think? Yang lain boleh komen ya.
Sir, can you repeat again, sir?
Oke, so let me make it in bahasa. Kalau ada anak-anak yang tumbuh dan pada saat dia tumbuh itu misalkan umur 3 tahun, umur 3 tahun kan anak itu sudah mulai lancar berbicara ya. Ketika pada saat itu dia tahu bahasa lebih dari satu bersamaan, bukan cuma satu bahasa. Let's say 2 bahasa bersamaan, apakah pada saat itu dia bisa disebut dan bilingual speaker atau gimana? Did you grab my point?
Yes, sir. I'm so sorry, sir.
Ya,
Saya juga pernah dengar istilah dengan sir, istilah polyglot. Orang
Yes.
yang lebih dari 2 bahasa.
yes,
Dia memiliki 3 bahasa atau lebih
ya,
dari 2.
yes.
Itu bagaimana anunya, sir, apa? Itu orang yang bilang kita polyglot atau bagaimana, sir?
Okay, good question. Oke, jadi I will let the speakers think of my question. I will come back to you in a second. So I'm just going to address Agun's question regarding polyglot. Yes, there is a term called polyglot. Jadi ada istilah namanya polyglot. So polyglot is mostly defined as someone who is able to speak more than one language at the same time. So let's say you speak, let's say English, you speak Dutch, you speak Germany, you speak German, you speak Arabic, you speak at least one or two or more than 2 languages, and then you could be called as a polyglot. So polyglot is just most of the time is just a community called polyglot. Jadi polyglot itu dalam linguistik sebenarnya bukan istilah linguistik tapi dia istilah komunitas yang belajar bahasa yang saling bertukar satu sama lain, di mana dalam komunitas itu masing-masing membernya itu punya kemampuan memahami lebih dari satu bahasa. Nah, itu namanya polyglot speaker ya. Jadi polyglot speaker. So that's what we call polyglot speaker. Let's say I have a community, Agung, and then all my community members, these guys are able to speak fluently, not just one language, but more than one language, and that's why we call polyglot speakers. But they have to be fluent. They have to be fluent in those languages. Ya. Mereka harus lancar, proficient in these languages. That's what they call polyglot. So if you're a bilingual speaker, if you're multilingual speakers, and then you are good at these languages, and then you could address yourself as a polyglot speaker. That's my answer, Agung. And I think di Indonesia polyglot itu ada ya, jadi komunitas polyglot sebenarnya itu bagus. Jadi teman-teman adik-adik semua yang mau belajar bahasa yang tidak punya komunitas, you can search on Google, find polyglot community. I think they exist. I did one research back in 2021 about polyglot community speakers in Makassar, and they exist. So these guys are gathering to learn and to exchange languages, not one language, but languages. That's why they call polyglot. Okay, Agung?
Terus kalau misalnya kita kita sudah tahu bahasa Indonesia dan tahu juga bahasa suku dari orang masing-masing, Sir, itu sudah bisa dibilang dengan bilingualism, Sir?
Did
Kalau
you mean bahasa tubuh?
bahasa suku, Sir.
Oh, bahasa suku.
Bahasa
Okay.
daerah. Iya.
Good question. Yes. So I would say most of speakers in Indonesia at least are bilingual, in my opinion. Why? Because in addition to having the ability to speak your local language like Buginas or other languages, other local languages ya, misalkan di Kolaka and other languages, you also speak bahasa for sure. Ya, Anda juga bicara bahasa Indonesia because of why? Bahasa Indonesia was taught at school since you are going or since you were going to school. Let's say in elementary school, and then you were talk about bahasa. That's the moment you are acquiring another language in addition to your home languages. So the language is spoken at your home with your parents, with your brother, with your sister, and with your family members. So that's why in my opinion, most of speakers in Indonesian are considered to be bilingual, at least bilingual. So let's say Agung, you speak Bugis and then you speak Bahasa, yes, you are bilingual. Now you speak English. Now you speak English, let's say, that's why you are shifting from bilingual into multilingual speaker. Yeah. So I consider myself to be multilingual speakers because I could speak more than 3 languages. In addition to my English, I speak a little bit Arabic, speak a little bit Dutch. But then like yourself, of course, you are multilingual. You speak English, you speak Bahasa, and you speak your local language. Is that clear, Agung?
Thank you so much, Sir.
Yeah, that's the point. Okay, coming back to the presenters, please give me some response.
Sir, Fatma ini terkeluar jadi tapi sama-sama jika.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Iya, Sir. Yes, Sir.
Yeah.
Anak usia 3 tahun termasuk di bilingualism.
Yeah. But do you think ketika dia belajar bahasa bersamaan, apakah dia pada saat itu langsung jadi bilingual speaker atau bagaimana perhitungannya dia jadi bilingual speaker?
Perhitungannya?
Okay, so this is the case ya. So please be listening to my comment. So let's say I have a neighbor ya, saya punya tetangga misalkan, or someone in my family member. So this young person at the first time is acquiring bahasa Indonesia because that's the language spoken at home with all his family members. Jadi anak ini misalkan dia bahasa yang dia diajarkan orang tuanya, ya, bahasa pertamanya orang tuanya adalah bahasa Indonesia. Oke ya. Otomatis dia bisa bahasa Indonesia karena this person is growing up with bahasa. But then at the same time, di waktu bersamaan, let's say his parents are also able to speak English. Dia bisa bahasa Inggris. And then when speaking to his son atau their son, ketika bicara dengan anak ini, most of the time they switch between bahasa and English. That's why English and bahasa is coming simultaneously but in switching ya. Jadi karena orang tuanya selain bisa bahasa Indonesia, yang tadi anak ini bisa bahasa Indonesia, dia juga bisa bahasa Inggris orang tuanya, maka ketika dia komunikasi sama anaknya, kadang atau most of the time kebanyakan mereka switch. Kadang bahasa Indonesia sekali-kali, kadang bahasa Inggris juga dan seterusnya. Itu kan pada saat bersamaan dia anak ini pasti acquire, menerima dua bahasa pada saat waktu bersamaan ya. Nah, kalau menurut teori, yes, dia bilingual speaker, dipastikan. Tapi apakah dia bilingual speaker pada saat bersamaan? Kebanyakan teori mengatakan tidak. Kenapa tidak? Karena perhitungannya sebenarnya adalah otomatis pasti dari dua bahasa ini meskipun sering digunakan pada waktu bersamaan dan selang-seling, tapi pasti ada satu bahasa yang anaknya lebih fluent dibanding yang satu bahasa yang lain. What I was trying to say, anak ini pintar bahasa Inggris, bahasa Indonesia bersamaan, tapi ternyata kalau kita mau ukur level bahasa Indonesianya lebih mahal sedikit, maka bahasa Indonesia at this point is considered to be his first language. Oke, bisa dipahami?
Yes, sir.
Oke, good. Kemudian bahasa Inggris itu second language. Yes, he is bilingual. Tapi apakah bilingual pada saat berteman? No. So, dihitung bahasa apa yang paling more fluent, lebih lancar, maka itu first language-nya. Kemudian yang kedua, ketiga, dan seterusnya. Jadi kalau misalkan setelah bahasa Inggris, bahasa Indonesia, bahasa Inggris, kemudian 5 tahun dia belajar Korean di school, maka Korean bahasa ketiganya. Kemudian let's say next 2 years, he is attending French course, dia belajar bahasa Prancis, maka French bahasa keempatnya, etc. But then these languages are put together in one table ketika bahasa ini ditumpuk satu dalam satu tempat, and then at that point he is called as a multilingual speaker. Do you understand? Oke, jadi begitu konsepnya. Jadi misalkan multilingual itu kan bahasa orang yang punya kemampuan bahasa lebih dua bahasa. Jadi kalau ada 3 bahasa berarti multilingual. Nah kalau misalkan 4, 5, 6 ya tetap bahasa keempatnya apa, bahasa kelimanya apa. Tapi kalau digabung semua, karena dia bisa bahasa lebih dari 2 bahasa, maka dia disebut dengan multilingual speaker. Itu poin yang Anda harus ingat ya, kalau bilingual sama multilingual. Kemudian ini yang menarik. So if you pay attention to this one, so why multilingual speaker are considered to be able to enhance problem solving more effectively than those who only have one language. Jadi kenapa menurut penelitian itu, mestinya ini Anda kutip artikel atau jurnal atau siapa yang untuk menguatkan teori ini. But I'm sure, saya yakin dari berapa sumber bacaan yang saya pernah baca, orang yang punya kemampuan bahasa lebih dari satu bahasa itu diyakini secara teori mereka memiliki kecerdasan yang lebih dibanding mereka yang cuma punya satu bahasa. Karena itu mereka juga bisa memiliki problem solving yang lebih bagus. Ya. Jadi kalau Anda baca narasinya, bilingual individuals often demonstrate superior problem solving skills. Ya. Kenapa mereka punya superior kemampuan untuk menyelesaikan masalah? Karena mereka otaknya itu constantly switching. Otaknya biasa multitasking. Bahasa sederhananya multitasking. Jadi kalau Anda punya 2 bahasa itu kan otak Anda itu punya kemampuan multitasking. Multitaskingnya apa? You can easily switch in a second dari satu bahasa ke bahasa yang lain. Maka otak Anda itu, your brain is trained. Naturally, otak Anda dilatih secara natural untuk menjadi multitasking dengan memahami lebih dari satu bahasa. Maka at some point, Anda dianggap punya problem solving yang lebih superior, lebih bagus. Meskipun ya, to note, Anda harus ingat juga, ada juga yang mengatakan anak-anak yang dari awal yang langsung dikasih lebih dari 2 bahasa, maksudnya banyak bahasa 3 atau 4, biasanya anak ini akan bingung dengan identitasnya dia, utamanya language identity, that who I am, what language actually I'm speaking first. Dan kadang anak ini dia merasa tidak punya native language ya, karena langsung dikasih bersamaan banyak bahasa. Itu ada teori yang mengatakan begitu. But to my mind, menurut saya the more languages, one day if you have a baby, if you have a children, if you have a child, what I mean, so the more languages you could give them, the better for them. Ya, karena teori mengatakan itu membuat otaknya itu lebih multitasking. Ya, but don't forget to make sure that you teach them your native language, because that's a way to preserve and to maintain your local language, also your culture. Jadi orang sekarang meyakini bahwa meskipun misalkan kita punya keturunan atau apa, kemudian anak itu diberikan bahasa yang banyak, jangan lupa untuk tetap memberikan bahasa lokal Anda, bahasa native Anda. Karena itu membantu bahasa itu tidak punah. Ya. Kenapa di negara-negara maju misalkan di Eropa itu bahasa itu punah? Karena mereka sekarang itu khususnya ekonomi menengah ke atas itu mereka lebih mengutamakan bahasa-bahasa asing, bahasa Inggris, bahasa Jerman, bahasa yang lain yang dianggap lebih diplomatis, yang bahasa untuk kemampuan diplomasi. Sementara bahasa native-nya itu hilang. Ya. Let me give you one example in Australia. So in Australia there is a original tribe. Di Australia itu kan suku asli namanya Aborigin. Yeah. So white Australian, as you see walking around here in Australia, or you go to Bali someday, you see many Australian, they are considered not to be the original Australian. Jadi orang-orang kulit putih Australia itu tidak dianggap sebagai suku asli Australia. Ya. Karena suku asli yang menghuni benua Australia itu disebut dengan Aborigin, ya. Just for your information. Nah, kenapa orang white putih ini sekarang mendominasi Aborigin Australia yang tadi suku asli? Karena bahasa Aborigin itu tidak digunakan. So in many public places here, kita menggunakan bahasa Inggris. Padahal sebenarnya bahasa native-nya Australia itu bukan English, tapi bahasa Aborigin. Yeah. I was a bit lucky to listen once or two times someone speaking Aborigin, and it was totally different from English. Yeah. Makanya di beberapa lembaga kenegaraan di Australia, setiap ada kegiatan-kegiatan formal termasuk di kampus itu, pasti diawali dengan kami mengakui bahwa bahwa tanah ini adalah tanah milik Aborigin. Nah, itu untuk mempreserve bahwa the one who actually owns Australian land is not white Australian, but black Aborigin. Nah, kalau Anda lihat Aborigin itu kan kulitnya gelap ya, mirip-mirip dari Papua Nugini sama bagian Papua Timur di kita. Karena secara geografis dekat. Jadi itu kenapa penting untuk mempreserve itu. Bahasa itu, kalau Anda punya native language, ajarkan ke adiknya, ke anaknya one day, karena that's one way to preserve and to maintain your identity as with your local language. Oke, good. Silakan kalau ada yang mau komentar ya. Nah, ini yang saya sampaikan tadi. So, kalau Anda lihat, kenapa Anda menjadi bilingual itu berpengaruh kepada economic advantages? Karena Anda bisa melakukan global trade, diplomacy, and international cooperation. Okay. Jadi, and that's the fact. Faktanya adalah orang yang punya kemampuan bahasa, khususnya bahasa asing, itu dia bisa membuka network keluar. Dan karena Anda buka network itu, Anda bisa gunakan untuk business trading, untuk kerjasama bisnis, dan kolaborasi internasional yang kemudian bisa meningkatkan atau berpengaruh terhadap economic growth, kondisi finansial Anda. Jadi sebenarnya bagus untuk menjadi bilingual atau multilingual, tetapi bahasanya itu bahasa asing ya, jangan cuma bahasa lokal terus bahasa Indonesia. Yes, bilingual, but it doesn't really help you a lot. Anda harus belajar bahasa Inggris, and that's why you're lucky because you're attending and you're being a student in English education. That's good. But I would encourage you, in addition to English, try to learn other languages. You can learn about now Chinese, Mandarin. Yeah, Mandarin is very popular now. That's why I encourage. I'm also planning to learn Chinese one day if I have a time. Chinese now is very demanding. Bahasa Cina sekarang sangat dibutuhkan. Kenapa? English I mean, USA and China is now are competing, great competitors, and then that's why people are demanded to learn Chinese now, because Chinese, let's say, in the next few years will be, of course, more powerful than USA in my point of view, menurut saya. Okay, that's it, guys. Do you have any question? Oke, kalau tidak ada pertanyaan, that's it for today ya. Minggu depan kita we still have one left presentation. Kita masih ada satu sesi presentasi. Setelah itu saya akan wrap up. Wrap up itu seluruh kesimpulan dari materi awal sampai terakhir. Kemudian sekaligus hint kira-kira project untuk final project Anda seperti apa. Oke, guys. Thanks a lot for your presentation, for all the presenters, and of course your attention during the session. I'm still expecting you could be more active during the class, because that would be good, not only for you but also for me. We could make a mutual discussion if you're active in the class. Anyway, thank you. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.